So, well, I'm glad we missed that first part anyway.
What was that thought again?
All right. Speedy Joe Sauber is going to lead us in a song. So, when it's time to change, call Speedy Bill Sauber. What's the reference on that? Giants.
Oil change.
Oil change.
That's good, Daddy, not speed.
Okay. Does he bicycle to the Giant Stadium?
Speaking of bicycles, that's going to be the song this morning.
All right.
Bicycle built for two.
Oh.
Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer too. I'm half crazy, all for the love of you. It won't be a stylish marriage. You look sweet on the seat of a bicycle built for two.
Thank you, Bill. Okay. Visitors, guests, and Zoom participants. Who do we see? I see Brian. Hello, Henry. Hi, Barbara. Al Lustig, disguised as Angela. Hello, Judy Rice. Good morning, Patrick. Linton.
No DMR.
Jim. Darlene, and there's Michael Cook and me. How'd that ever happen? So, and in the audience here we have, gosh, I don't know how to go because they're all such dignitaries. How about Ron Cutler? And we all know that Mark Reese is back in the house. He's not a guest, he is a member, but we haven't seen you up till now. Glad to see you. And Jerry, you have a guest.
Yes, Dave Ferry is my guest here. We're getting to the presentation. Dave is a certified California naturalist. Knows everything about birds and bugs and plants and everything. And he leads nature hikes with Land Path and the Land Trust and so on.
Awesome. Any other guests? Or?
We have one more. We have a guest that was an honorary Rotarian my year.
There you are. Yeah. I've got a short-term memory problem, it appears. Nice to see you, Dave. Glad you're here.
Need a short day.
Michael, I keep seeing something here. Join audio. Are you doing that?
No, but just say no.
It says later. I'll just tell it later. I don't have no as a choice. It's time to mute all the people that are out there in the Zoom audience. Much as we love to hear your voices, unmute yourself if you get called on, please. Our speaker today is Jerry Matchlum, who's going to be doing a Raptor experience. More about that later. Recognition and gratitude. That's what the next sequence is kind of about, but really it's about you. So, birthdays. Bob Keyser, August 17th. It looks here like you married an older woman.
Well, actually, yeah.
By 3 days.
Yeah, she's about 7 years older.
No. It says here, August 14th, August 17th. That's only 3 days. You can't fool me on that math. Happy birthday to you. You're warned in advance, and you're also warned about Rebecca. You are making serious plans, right?
Well, you know, actually,
Closer to the mic, please.
Actually, at the end of next week, I'm going to Cincinnati to visit for my mother's 90th birthday. So.
Wow. Well, be sure to thank her for us that she gave you birth and did not believe in sudden infant death while nobody's in the room.
I have 11 siblings, so yeah. She really, really didn't believe that.
Oh.
Where are you in that?
She went the other way. Okay, Mark Reese and his all-star team. I've been waiting to hear what the heck. So tell us about this, and do come on up here.
What would you like to know, sir?
Whatever you want to tell us.
Well, actually, this was a really nice event that we went to at the Sebastopol golf course. It was a memorial service for Dean and Sue Lamb. You may or may not know Dean Lamb. Martin will be well aware. Dean Lamb was my high school football coach and friend. I grew up with his son Mitch Lamb since, 5th, 6th grade. So we played sports all through high school together. Dean was a big part of my life and a real mentor to me in a lot of different ways. This is at his memorial service at the golf course. Pictured from my left to right, Jacques Forgot, another local young man here that grew up and graduated from Alien High School, played football with. Myself, kind of peering from behind is Doug Peterson, and then Chip Castleberry, also one of my coaches in high school, and then on my right, his left, is Norris Noya, who is one of our all-star high school running backs. So that's the story.
Awesome. So you guys were it, huh? How did you do in the season?
We did well. We did not go to the championship game, but our senior year we did not win the Apple. But our junior year, as varsity football players, we did.
Awesome.
Which is
cool.
no longer going to be out there, regretfully.
Oh well.
But you know how that goes.
Time does pass. Yeah.
Whatever recognition you need, my friend.
Glad you're here. Well, you'll have the occasion to volunteer whatever you like for recognition. So we did a First Friday. Linda, tell us how much fun we had, because I don't remember.
I don't either because I wasn't there.
I've been calling you Linda for a long time. Kathy, how much fun did we have? I don't remember you either.
Share a screen at some point so we can see the slides.
Thank you.
We had fun. You know, when people don't leave till 8:30, you had a good time. So, thank you. And if anybody wants to, host one in their backyard, let me know because it's really fun when we do our potlucks too. Thanks.
Just found out I wasn't sharing screen. Let's see if that works. Did that do it?
No, I can't see.
Hold on.
Looks like it's coming.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's coming.
That looks good.
Okay. Let's get this down. Let's get this up. Let's share. Share with 3 people. What's the deal, Michael? How come I'm having trouble? Yeah, this is turning out to, I want to get rid of that. I can't get rid of you guys. There. Well, heck. Is that working for the Zoom audience? Oh yeah, that's what I'm missing.
Great.
Finally. Okay. So let's
Yeah,
move
it works
on.
just fine.
Dan, what was happening out there? And I got to tell you, I was a little bit worried when you told me that you and Joe and Charlie were out there, and I didn't see any pictures of Charlie, but I saw this rock cairn of. So I was really glad to see Charlie today.
Yeah, my only vice is don't fall behind.
Wow. Okay, so you left a marker and you found them later?
Well, the first thing, that was up at the crest of the hill at Taylor Mountain where we went to, not this Monday, but the Monday previous. And a nice hike, about less than 4.5 miles and about 1,000 feet of climbing, maybe a little bit less. A lot of fun. And then this most recent Monday, we went up to Lake El Sanjo and Annandale, again, about a 4.3 mile hike. Took us about 2.5 hours with chatting and sitting and having a little snack. So, and sounds like we've got a good route planned for next Monday out near Duncan's Mills. So people are interested in joining us, that'd be great.
So this is going to be an ongoing thing?
I hope so.
Everybody's invited, right?
Yeah.
Y'all saw that?
Joe came up with the idea and got us going, and we're trying to carry it forward, so.
Wait, Joe came up with the idea, then he took a hike?
That's right.
Huh. Maybe he's the guy under the rock here.
What level of, like, yeah,
It's medium to hard, what we've done so far.
so if you don't hike, you shouldn't go. Yes.
Do some practice.
Maybe they'll work us up to it. Maybe we'll just take little things. So, Shiny Penny. We got Linda Sinke out there. If we can highlight or spotlight Linda. And Linda?
Hi, good morning. When Terry alerted me about the shiny penny moment, I thought about meaningful moments in my life, and behind me is a picture of Matt Waters. And many of you know the story I'm going to share today, but the story goes, Matt is Danny's best friend, my middle son, and they became close pals during Pop Warner football, and thick as thieves ever since. But one day Matt wasn't showing up at school, and Danny was worried. It had been about a week, so we took a ride and found out they had been evicted and were living in an extended stay America hotel in Santa Rosa. And so we worked it out that we would get Matt to school every day, because at that time I lived in Santa Rosa. And so it started out where we picked him up for school, and then it evolved. His dad would drop him off at 4 a.m. and then, Linda, can I stay overnight and do my homework? I don't have a computer. To Monday to Friday, to all through high school. And I always thought when you have 3 boys, one more really isn't all that different. It was chaos anyhow. But what it was never anything official, but it was truly my honor to help Matt in his time of need. Nothing ever official, but he was a survivor. He knew how to pick friends. And what I loved about him is he was the one boy that would talk to me. My own kids, yeah, not so much, but Matt would, we would stay up late and just talk and talk. And he was a football star at Annalee. The coach said of all the kids on the team, he had what it took to make it to the next level. And so what did he do? He joined the Marines. Surprised me. And 2 Purple Hearts later, he came home. He saw action in Fallujah. At any rate, he's married with children now, living in Idaho. He lost his house in Coffee Park while his baby was being born. But as I said, he's a survivor. He's a happy guy, and I'm proud to have made a difference in his life. So that's my meaningful shiny penny moment. Thank you.
Nick Randall.
So in 1971, I moved from Southern California to the East Bay to do my alternate service to the military as a conscientious objector. And I worked for a ecumenical parish of churches, small struggling congregations that pooled their resources, and they could afford to pay me $75 a month. And so I had a part-time job at the newspaper to go with that. But for rent. I paid $15 a week and rented the basement of a woman's home in Castro Valley. And she had other roomers upstairs. And one evening when I was in the basement, there came a knock on the door, and one of the guys from upstairs in a room said, could I give him a ride to work? He was a night security guard in a warehouse in Union City. And I said, well, sure. He said, well, his car had been wrecked, and so he needed help. And so I gave him a ride to work. And this was about, I think maybe 9 o'clock in the evening. And I drove down to Union City on the freeway at 238 and then down to Highway 880, Nimitz. And he's talking, and he's sort of spilling his guts. Nothing is going right in his life. His girlfriend left him. He wrecked his car. His job is going nowhere. And I'm driving along in my little, beautiful little VW Beetle and listening and commenting and say, you know, it's not that bad, et cetera. We got to the freeway in the Nimitz, and I kind of looked up, no traffic at all. Sort of looked over at him, and he had gotten out a pistol from his jacket pocket and was holding it in his lap. And he gradually, as I went down the Nimitz, he continued to talk and I continued to talk. He took the pistol and he put it up to his head. And I'm driving along the Nimitz, you know, talking to him, and he's continuing to emote. And it just occurred to me that either this was going to end very badly or I had to do something. So I reached in front of him, across his face, over, and I took hold of his wrist very gently, and I pinned his wrist to the window of the Volkswagen. Thank goodness for small cars, right? And I'm driving along, and we're talking, and I was able to turn his wrist so the gun was no longer facing him, it was turned facing back. And we continued to talk, and I said, it's gonna be all right. I'm driving along, and we finally got to the exit on the freeway, and it's a stick shift, you bet, and that was a consideration. And so we got to get off the freeway, and I pulled up on the exit ramp. There's no other cars around, and I have to have the clutch in because, you know, so I got my foot on the clutch and one hand on the steering wheel, the other hand, and I finally got the gun down, his arm down, and I got the gun gently away from him and put it in my lap and continued to drive him to his work, and he made it through the night, and it all ended well. The coda on the story was that the following day, I had a gun. I know nothing about guns. And so I didn't know what to do with it. Should I take it to the police or what? So I took it to work, to the office, my office at this church. And the pastor came in, it's about 8 o'clock in the morning, a very good friend of mine, a wonderful man. And I had to tell him what had happened. It's very emotional. And I had explained to him what had happened. And he said, do you have the gun? And I said, yeah, it was I put it in a drawer. So I got out the gun and he says, can I see it? I said, sure. And he's looking at it. He says, wow, this is really something. You know, is it loaded? And I said, I don't know. And he turned and he goes, boom! He shot it into the floor, dug a big chunk out of the tile in the floor, the bullet ricocheted up, buried in the cabinet. It's still there, to my knowledge, after all these years. So that's the day I did something for somebody.
And wow. So that's a lot. And I noticed that was a right-handed shot. He could have gotten two guys at once. Glad you're here, Nick. Yeah, that could have gone not well. So good or bad, if you had a chance to talk, if you were inspired by what you heard, and how cool was that, think about giving to the Rotary Foundation, the Community Foundation, or yourself doing a good turn. Announcements, let's just keep moving here. We got to get to Jerry. There's going to be a district conference coming up. I'm just going to send you an email. And if you know of an ethical business, nonprofit, ethical business in small, medium, or large size, nonprofit of any size that you say, this represents the sort of things we would like to celebrate in Rotary, please think about it. Put forward a nomination. You can email it to me. I'll send it along, or I can send you this slide. But this is going to be a Rotary event, and they're going to have a special dinner for ethical businesses in our communities. Gravenstein Apple Fair. All right. I've got 2 free tickets from Pam Davis. Gravenstein Apple Fair is looking for volunteers. Google Gravenstein Apple Fair. It's coming up this weekend, and they would like to hear.
$50 in foundation.
Damn, $50 to Foundation from Brian. Thank you. Wayne Britton, you did this already. I forgot to change the slide. Diana Curtis, please approach the bench. Diana Curtis, you are accused of attempting to run an apple blossom float and parade. Speak to this microphone, please, and to the audience in general. Big voice.
Big voice.
She's
Okay.
so presidential.
Yeah, I'm guilty. Yeah, absolutely. We are having, I'm calling it the Blossomless Apple Parade. It's the 100th anniversary of the Apple Blossom Parade. It's going to be on September 18th. Linda Sinkay came up with a great idea of superheroes. We are celebrating the volunteerism in the community and of Rotary, and we will be marching with superheroes and promoting volunteerism. We've had a meeting yesterday. Scott Hensey's been very kind, and he's been doing a great job helping with making up the signs, and we're working with the Noon Club. So we're looking for people to march in the parade with us, and it's going to happen. So thank you very much, and remember September 18th.
Linda Sinkay has a weather balloon you can borrow.
Always good to have a weather balloon. And we'll send the calendar out too. Next week, we're going to see Diana Rich, and Jerry is about to come up. While Jerry's coming, Jerry has been an avid photographer since he was old enough to hold a camera. About 5 years ago, he got hooked on bird photography after taking his son-in-law, a birder, visiting from Seattle, on a walk through the backwoods of Regal Park. It's been a joyful journey of avian discovery since then.
And spending money on lenses, right, Jerry?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's see if we can get this to go away. That goes down to nowhere. And Jerry, this comes up. Well, hold on, that's not what I want to start from like that.
Very good. Well, good morning. It's great to be here to talk about the raptors of Sonoma County. So raptors are birds of prey, and they are like eagles, hawks, owls, ospreys, harriers, vultures, actually, including vultures, falcons. And so I'm going to start out with a quiz that you can't answer, Dave.
But what do you think is the most widely distributed bird of prey in the world? I'll give you a hint. Peregrine falcons, actually.
Good.
Believe it or not, every continent except Antarctica. Okay, so we're going to jump right into it. Speaking of peregrine falcons, we have our very own right here on the coast. And
Sorry, I'm just signaling masks.
Oh, okay.
I got something to tell you.
Okay. So yeah, we have our very own on the coast here, up and down the coast. They like to be on the cliffs. And this sea stack out here, you see those little red dots up there? That's kind of what they look like when you're looking at them. So zoom in a little bit closer, and we have a male and female pair that's been raising some chicks out there. And there's 3 ways you can tell the difference with this pair, which one is which. They exhibit sexual dimorphism, which is a fancy way of saying that they're not exactly the same, male and female. The female is larger, and that's common with most of the raptors that we're going to look at. The other thing is, if you look at on the side of her face, she got a little white mark up on the side, as opposed to the male that has like a black hood. And another way is the male has leg bands, and we'll see those in a minute. So she's taken off here, and I'm kind of showing the sequence of wing beats as she leaves the sea stack, and then gives a nice view of her beautiful wings and feathers. She flew across in front of the cliff that was in shadow, and she was in sunlight, and gave a nice look here. And then flew back up on the sea stack after a while. Then it was time for the male to take off. I'm kind of short, putting several days, together here for you. So the male takes off and shows off his beautiful wings and feathers and tail and everything. And just to show you kind of in one slide what all the wing beats look like. And they typically take off kind of heading down. And he likes to sit sometimes about halfway down on the sea stack and catch that nice bright morning light as the sun comes over the hill. One day I was out there, it looked like they might have had a little difference of opinion, He's kind of looking farther away and back at it over his shoulder, but I think they made up because they decided to raise a family this year. And their nest is in that crevice that's kind of facing out toward the ocean there. So you can't really see the nest. We gotta wait until the chicks actually fledge. And they'll fledge at about 6 weeks. And they'll hang around with the parents for another couple of months, learning to fly, learning to hunt, and the parents will help feed them. So these are 2 chicks from last year. A nice close-up, you can see the different feather pattern. And they're up in the air here flying. They do some aerial acrobatics. The male and female in a mating ritual will do kind of the same thing. Food transfers in the air. It's very exciting to see. And the adult will bring food to the chick here. He doesn't look like he's very excited about sharing it though. So he's learning right off what to do. So here's the chick this year that has fully fledged already, and all right, okay, enough. He does that, but he does that a lot. What he's doing is he's calling, he wants food, he wants attention, he's getting hungry. So while he's waiting, he'll check out his talons here, check out his wings, kind of look at some flowers, see if they're good to eat. No, but Dad obliges and comes by, and he's flying by with a starling in his talons. They'll catch these birds in midair, and I think I heard the starling here saying, "It's okay, you can let me go now. Thanks for the ride, but let me go, okay? No, well, he didn't let him go. He took him over to eat. And you can see this is a favorite eating spot by all the feathers that are on the ground here. And then the junior took off and he flew around and he was just very excited, beak wide open, and showing off just what beautiful coloring the falcon has while he's flying. One day we were out there, you know, these falcons attract a lot of attention with the photographers. And I don't know if you can spot on the cypress tree out there on the left side is the female is up there. Do you see where she is? Anyway, right there, I'll give you a hint. And so Junior is down there and, okay, he's calling out, he wants a little attention. Mom's up on top, she looks down and says, if you want something, you gotta come up here. So that's how they encourage the young ones to fly. And so he was trying to figure it out. The wind was blowing on the branch. He couldn't stand still, so he just took off and left. Okay, so we're gonna go a little farther up the coast now and see a pair of bald eagles. Did you know we have bald eagles in the county here? Here's the male and female. Again, the female in the back, larger than the male in the foreground there. And they hang out, I think mostly in the wintertime around Jenner. And she's taken off here, and this is what the bald eagles sound like in the air. They'll kind of cruise along the water looking for fish. They're opportunistic eater. They'll eat just about anything, dead animals, or carrion, fish that they catch out of the water. They'll steal from other birds. And so she's flying out from heading south toward Goat Rock over the harbor seals that are hanging out there, over the mouth of the river, and over to this log, which is a favorite perch of the eagles. And if you look down from above, you kind of see where it is in relation to the water. And here's a turkey vulture, thought he could be on the perch as well. No, the eagle chased him off. So heading yet another farther north, we get to the Jenner Headlands Preserve. And this is where I met Dave. And he kind of leads the fall migration hawk watch. And we go up there once a week, spend 2 hours from 10 till 2, and watch. We're kind of looking north here, watching for the migrating hawks that are coming by, and they're on their way down to Central and South America for the winter. And one of the very common ones is a red-tailed hawk, and that's one of the most common hawks around here. Here's one that hasn't quite developed the full red tail yet. This is more typical. They can exhibit different color patterns. They often have the dark patagios at the front of the wings here, and a little white on their belly. Anyway, time to turn the volume. Sorry. They have a very impressive call. So a little secret fact here is that often in movies and TV and all, when they want to have a bird, even the bald eagles, they'll substitute the call of the red-tailed hawk because it compared to that, you know, a little high-pitched one of the eagle. So here, this one's showing off its beautiful red tail here. This is a Cooper's hawk. It's a different kind of, a different species. This is an accipiter, genus accipiter. And they're a little more slender. They have a longer tail, different wing shape, a different wing beats. And the Cooper's hawks and sharp-shinned hawks, that's another accipiter. Here's what the coloration looking up at it. And white-tailed kites, there's some of those that are out on the coast. And later on in the season, we get these large ferruginous hawks, very beautiful bird. And a northern harrier. This is a male northern harrier, sometimes referred to as a gray ghost because of the gray color. The females are more brown. And very late in the season, a Swainson's hawk, which was a very rare sighting and got a lot of attention. So now we're heading inland to Lake Sonoma, and this is the bridge on Rockpile Road. And there's a couple of utility poles there, power poles, and if you look closely, there's a brown one that someone told me PG&E put that pole up, and there's a nesting platform on top. The ospreys will often build their nest on artificial structures, and if we look a little closer, I don't know if you can see the bird. Can you see the bird in the nest? There it is there. That's where the nest is, up on top. And the ospreys will come by. The ospreys, by the way, are the second most widely distributed bird of prey in the world. So he's coming by and checking me out. And they will return to the nest, the same nest year after year. They are, they mate for life, and he's bringing in some new lumber to improve the nest for the season. And the nest can gradually get bigger and bigger each year. So the male and female are having a little discussion here. Should we start another family this year? And yep, they decided to have another family this year. And so the female is sitting on the eggs here, and she will incubate the eggs for several weeks, and the birds will fledge in about 7 to 8 weeks. Meanwhile, the male will fly in with some fish. They're great fishermen. They just swoop down, grab the fish right out. They have incredible talons for that. And one day, I spotted a bald eagle flying across the lake, but he had this really inquisitive look on his face. He was looking over his shoulder like, what the heck's going on? Whoa, there was a peregrine falcon chasing it. And so what do, you know, when you're a big bald eagle, you turn around and show him your claws, you know? And Dave helped me out here. He thought the eagle was maybe getting a little too close to the peregrine falcon's nest, and they come out and they'll chase away the birds, because the eagles, they'll steal anything to eat. And as a matter of fact, Benjamin Franklin, when he heard that they wanted to make the bald eagle the national bird of the new United States, he objected. He said they were a bird of bad moral character. So a couple of weeks later, back out there, and the two of the chicks had their heads popping up out of the nest, and mom is explaining, yeah, well, okay, you know, dad's gonna come by, hang on, we're gonna get breakfast pretty soon, and I'm gonna teach you how to eat. And uh-oh, why are we stuck here, Dave?
Tell it later. Oh, see that? Get rid of that little thing in the middle of the screen. I don't know why it's popping up. I can't figure it out. We'll get rid of that guy. Oh.
Okay. I don't have the. Okay, we're good. We're good. Okay. So she's talking to the birds here, and it's still not working.
Now you have to push the middle thing. I know it's weird. Welcome to my world.
Okay. When she wants the male to come and bring some food, she'll start doing this. And that's also a signal for me as a photographer to start looking around, you know, make sure I'm ready with the camera, because sure enough, the male will come flying in with breakfast here. And I don't know, she's saying, why'd it take you so long? But anyway, he's there with the fish, and she's going to teach. You can see the young ones are looking very intently. They're watching, taking lessons. They learn very quickly, and she's going to take a little bite off the fish and then put into the beak of each of the chicks there. And as they grow, they start losing their little downy fluff and develop their flight feathers. And yet another couple weeks later, they are ready to fledge. that means they've got all their flight feathers and they're gonna start taking off and leave the nest. So, they'll get the wings ready. They'll check out their talons, to make sure they can learn to fish. And actually, when they do fish, you notice here, they always fly with the fish head first, in line with their body, for aerodynamic fly. Because sometimes they get some really big, heavy fish. So again, Dad brings in the fish, and he takes off, and now the bigger chicks are there, the fledglings are there, and she's still showing them how to eat. So they're looking around now thinking, okay, it's time to fly. Where am I going to go? And one of them takes off and goes over to the power pole that's nearby. It's close, so they don't have to fly too far. And not to be outdone, one of the siblings flies by and say, look at me. Hey, well, look what I can do. But he goes over and tries to land on the lines and realizes that's not a very steady place to be. Goes over to the railing, to the slick metal railing. No, that's not a very good place to be either. So back into the nest, and the parents will leave them at this point for long periods, to encourage them to get out and fly. And the only thing, to eat when they get hungry is, chewing on a dried up dead carcass of an old fish piece there. Okay, so now we're going to come closer to home. And in Sebastopol here, we have some great horned owls. So in the middle of the night, you might hear, that's the call of the great horned owl, very common. And right near here, just a few hundred yards from here, there's a huge eucalyptus tree, and the owl taking a nice morning yawn as the sun comes up. And in the nest, in the crook of the tree, is a little fledgling here, which almost ready to fledge. I kind of predicted he was about 6 weeks old at this point. And what they do, they'll leave the nest, and they call branching at this point. They'll just walk along the branches before they can actually fly. And that morning, the adult came over and landed on the branch, and the two of them were so heavy that the chick fell down into a bush down below. And I was a little concerned. I think I sent you an email, Dave, asking what don't worry about it. Anyway, the owlet was able to get back up. The next morning I went back there. A year or two or three ago, Brian Bauer called me and said, hey, you want owls? I got a barn owl in my barn. So I ran over there and pointed my lens at the deepest, darkest, highest point in his barn. And there was this gorgeous barn owl sitting there. Really, baby. Thank you, Brian.
There's no light. You got the light out.
Yeah, well, that's part of being a photographer. Okay, so now we're going to get even closer to home, and probably your home too. I took this photo of a red-shouldered hawk in my driveway, and you might hear these, especially early in the morning. I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit. That's a red-shouldered hawk. And especially, in nesting season, you hear them a lot. And this one's showing off his beautiful red shoulders. And he's got a gopher. Great, they can eat all the gophers they want. They go after little mammals like that. This one was actually on the Laguna Trail by the Chevron station over there. And a really great place to spot them is at Regal Park. So that's where this handsome fellow is. And he's kind of looking around. They can turn their head pretty far around, checking me out here. And the juvenile is here. They'll make a lot of noise too. And he's right in the picnic area. They're very acclimated to people, and they're doing very well in kind of neighborhoods around here in the fir trees. But this one right in the picnic area at Regal has a little rodent that he's eating, and they'll cover it up a little with their wings like that, so that nobody else will come by and see it and want to steal it from him, and he'll have his food. So if you hear that sound, look up, you might see a red-shouldered hawk. Anyway, that's all I have time for. If you have any questions, we got a couple minutes anyway. Brian.
Just more, how do you do it? I mean, how do you capture those moments and the director's sight cut?
Well, number one, you got to be there. So get up really early in the morning because they're most active early or late. Some of them, like the white-tailed kites that are in the Laguna, you know, get active later in the day, almost at sunset. You got to know their habits so that, you know, especially like if you want to get the bird flying in with the fish, you know, watch how they do it. You know, when you hear one of them calling, that's usually when the fish is going to come in. Anyway, so yeah, learning their habits and being there and being ready with the camera.
Jerry, overall, what's the survival rate on the chicks?
Probably not so good, but good question. Dave, do you know what the survival rate of chicks is?
Probably about 50%.
About 50%. It varies.
So are the male and female markings with the white, does that show up right after they hatch?
Well, I don't think it's 100%, like on the falcons, you mean?
Right.
The markings vary. It's just, I think, that particular couple that's like that. And depending on where in the world you are, because the falcons are worldwide, they have slightly different variation of feather colors.
Why don't you make a picture book of all these wonderful photos?
I'm working on it. Thank you. All right.
There we go. Thank you, Jerry. That's fabulous. You know, I'd like to win a prize of being able to go out and watch you work. That is fabulous. So, Dan Needham, tell us what's funny.
Well, it's exciting to be back for live humor, so I started working on my stand-up routine. Originally, I thought about Chuck Tilbury. I started working on my accents, and I thought about telling the joke about the Irish 239 bean stew. And why do they make it that way? Because if you added one more bean, it would be 240. But that's too childish, so I'm not going to tell that one at Rotary. So I thought about telling the one about Ron Cutler visiting home and walking into the Main Street Saloon and ordering a double entendre, and then he got it. But that was too cerebral for this time in the morning. So I decided to tell the one about why do chicken coops have 2 doors? If they had 4 doors, they'd be chicken sedans.
Oh, well, there you go. That's an immortal moment. So I don't know what's going on with the screen, and I don't think any of us cares, but let's ask Bill Sauber to send us out.
Trails to